Welcome to the board video for the board meeting on the 28th of November. Our patient story this month was a presentation around a QI project that's been underway looking at inpatient management of patients with diabetes. And we saw the impact that nighttime snacks are having on the care of patients with hypoglycemia. And the trial across a number of wards in the hospital has had dramatic effects in terms of reducing the number of hypoglycemic attacks and also improving patient experience and reducing the length of stay that patients are with us. And this is all for a couple of 6p biscuits in the evening. So we're now looking to see how we can roll this out and do it in a much more structured way across the organisation as a result of the presentation. We had a conversation at the board this month about our CQC inspection, and I'm sure you'll be aware that the first phase has just taken place. It's a good time for me to give you some feedback. So initial feedback was incredibly positive. There were no major areas of concern highlighted by the inspectors, and numerous comments about how open, friendly and welcoming the staff that they encountered were across the trust. And they in fact described the inspection as enjoyable, which I think is praise indeed. The well-led element of the review follows in mid-January, and this is a distinct but complementary part of the inspection which focuses largely on leadership of the organisation and governance of the trust. And also during that time the clinical review of the maternity service will take place, as there was sickness in the inspection team, so they didn't undertake that inspection this week. We don't hear about the overall rating until probably around the beginning of April. But I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you to everybody that was involved. I know inspections like that are incredibly daunting, but a big thank you to every member of staff who interacted with the inspectors whilst they've been here over the last few days, because your input was absolutely noted by them, and the YDH welcome was something that they talked an awful lot about. We also had a focus at the meeting on our emergency preparedness, resilience and response plan, so our emergency planning function, and we've recently had an annual assurance review by NHS England and the CCG, which set us out as being substantially compliant in our plan, so that's really good news. There's some work to do around business continuity, so that'll be the focus for the year coming. Our staff survey response rate is currently at around 71%, and we ended the year's kind of fantastic achievement, ended the year the highest response rate for any acute trust in the country. So that's great, because when we receive our feedback on the staff survey questions, it means we've got a really high response rate on which to judge those. So that's great. So thank you to everybody who took the time to complete their surveys. Our monthly focus on performance really focused on cancer, and our recovery plan, which was presented by Fiona Jones, our Interim Director of Operations and Urgent Care, for the 62-day standard. The aim is that over the coming months between now and the end of March, we make significant improvements on our cancer 62-day performance. We're not doing that badly, we're just a little bit below the target, so we want to get as close to that as we can. Our diagnostic performance, as I think I've mentioned previously, we were underachieving against the 6-week diagnostic standard, but pleased to say we'll be back on track on that one in November, so the recovery plan there's worked well. And we also had a presentation from Fiona about our plans for this winter. So it's kind of felt as if winter has kicked off, particularly over the last week or so, where again attendances to A&E and admissions have started to increase. We've got some good plans in place for this winter, and Fiona managed to give the board good assurance around those plans. So it'll now be about tracking that and putting those into action, particularly in the period after Christmas. The board seminar this month was around a national programme called Getting It Right First Time, so it's called GIRFT. And the GIRFT programme, national programme, looking at improvement in individual clinical services through data analysis, but also peer-to-peer challenge. And the key element of this is to look at unwarranted variation in our services and see whether we can standardise things by learning from other organisations. There's a series of visits that we've been embarking upon with the GIRF team nationally, and various clinical teams have been involved in those, but there are more to come. And we talked about the regional approach and also YDH's response to that programme of work. And finally, I just wanted to say, as we draw to the end of what is an incredibly busy year, on behalf of the Board of Directors, I'd like to take this opportunity to wish every member of staff a really Merry Christmas and a very, very happy New Year.